Hi, I'm Dr. Marianne Cintron. Thanks for joining me today. Today is the second day of our boot camp. It's called the 4 C's of Embracing Dyslexia. And today I'm going to teach you about circles, sound circles. So I have sent everybody who signed up these circles that you can cut out, and we call these sound rectangles, and a couple of scoops. But I also sent you, these letters that you can cut out for the manipulation that we're going to also follow with. And I sent you the other scoops as an attachment. But what I want to say is it's really important that you have a reading program that you're following, because the reading program is going to guide you in the order of presenting the letters and presenting the words, ultimately how you're going to do the sound circles. So if you purchase your kit from me, you get it in this plastic bag, and I give you about 20 circles. So this is what I do. I'm going to show you how I put it on my, I have a whiteboard, and then I flip my screen down with this online platform. And I'm going to show you what I do to help the students. So I'm going to show you my reading program with 3-letter words going into 4-letter words, but then I'm going to jump into syllables so that you could see how we address syllables. Then I'm going to show you the Orton-Gillingham model, and that'll show you how similar ours is following that Orton-Gillingham model. Okay, so the first thing is with my reading program, I have spelling exercises that I send you. And I show in the training how I want you to write 5 or 6 of those spelling words for the first exercise on this index card. And then what we're going to do is swap out the beginning sound or the ending sound or the vowel in the middle. And it's always really important to say the word, have the student repeat it, tap it out with your hand. I like to do, for example, bed, b-e-d, bed. But then when the words get a little bit longer and more letters are in the word, we actually will just use 1 finger per word, per letter. And then when we have 2 letters that represent 1 sound, we'll show those 2 fingers represent 1 sound. And because it's kind of awkward to do this with our fingers, I'll even hold a finger back, do this, or even add a finger or add 2 fingers. So it really depends on how many letters are in the word. So we have the student repeat it after us, tap out the sounds, and then they're going to pull the sound circles down onto the sound rectangle. And then they're going to point to each sound and say it again. So the structured literacy model is that students need to be speaking, they need to hear you, they need to repeat it, they need to point, they need to touch. It's all the senses are engaged to help their memory and to build those neural pathways. So when we change words, well, when we change a letter, we're not going to have them tap it out. But when we change to a new word, we will tap it out again and follow the pattern of saying it, tapping it out, saying it as we pull the sounds down, and then pointing and saying each letter sound. So I'm going to flip my screen down and I'm going to show you what I do. So I mirror my video, and you know what? I'm just going to be sure that I am mirrored here. Very easy to do, and I'm not. So I'm glad I checked that. You want to be sure you're mirrored. And with as much as we are on different Zoom calls and changing backgrounds, sometimes we don't want to be mirrored. So the first word that we've written on our index card is bed. So I'll tell the student, say bed, bed. And let's tap out the sounds. B-e-d, bed. So that kind of underlines it. I flip my screen down and I show the student that the red circles are the consonants, and the orange circles are the vowels. All you want to do is have your darker circles are representing the consonants, your lighter circles are representing the vowels. So bed is b, e, d. Then we want to point to each sound. B, e, oops, sorry. B, e, d, bed. Bed becomes bad. Repeat that, and the student will repeat it. Bed becomes bad. So the e goes away and the a goes down. Point to each sound. B, a, d, bad. Bad becomes lad, and they repeat it. So the b goes away and the u comes down. Point to each sound. U, a, d, lad. And one more with this sound. Lad becomes dad, and they say lad becomes dad. Oh, so lad, so lad becomes dad, the O goes away, and the D comes down. Then we go to the next word is hat. Say hat. And just tap it out. H-A-T, hat. So now we empty our sound rectangle, and we're going to pull the sounds down, pull the circles down as we say the sounds. H, A, T. And the student will typically follow you in the beginning, but we're looking for them to do it on their own so that we're not always modeling it. So we're going to point to it again and say the sounds. H, A, T, hat. So hat becomes mat. Repeat that, and they'll say hat becomes mat. So the H goes away and the comes down. Point to each sound and say it. A, T, mat. Mat becomes map. Repeat that. Mat becomes map. So the T goes away and the P comes down. Point to each sound and say it. A, P, map. Very good. So we're going to do one more with 3 letters. The word is lid. Say lid. And they repeat lid. Let's tap it out. O-I-D, lid. So now, whenever you have a new word, you're going to empty your sound rectangle. So let's pull down the sounds and say them for lid. O-I-D. Now let's point to it and say it again. O-I-D, lid. Lid becomes lip. Can you say that? Lid becomes lip. So now they're going to say, so you say the D goes away and the P comes down. So let's point and say it. O-I-P, lip. Lip becomes lap. What sound changes after they repeat it? What sound changes? The I changes to A, so the I goes away and the A comes down. Point to each sound. U, A, P, lap. Excellent. So I'm going to show you how we handle 4-letter words. So I'm going to say the word Bask, and they'll say Bask. Let's tap it out. B-A-S-K, Bask. So let's pull the circles down for Bask. B-A-S-K. And let's point to each sound and say it. B-A-S-K, Bask. Bask becomes mask, and they repeat it. So the B goes away and the comes down. Point again. A-S-K, mask. One last one. Mask becomes task. They repeat it. So the goes away and the T comes down. Let's point and say again. T-A-S-K, task. So what I want to show you is when you get to words where you have consonant teams like ship, you're going to have two circles that are going to be next to each other. So say the word ship, and they say ship. Let's tap it out. So it's going to be, you can go sh. See the two fingers represent two letters. Sh, I, p, ship. And you're going to tell them that. So we're going to empty our sound rectangle. Let's pull the circles down for ship. Sh, I, p. And then let's point to each sound. Sh, I, p, ship. Ship becomes shop. They repeat it. So the I goes away and the ah comes down. Point to each sound. Sh, ah, p, shop. And I don't want to put a T in there. Just we could say shop becomes shot. I got a shot in my arm. So the p goes away and the t comes down. Sh, ah, t, shot. Okay, so you have the hang of it. If we were meeting face to face or in a training, I would have you pause right now and I'd have you practice with about 5 words from exercise number 1, 5 words from exercise number 2. So now I want to show you what we do with syllables. So now we take out 2 of the sound rectangles. But when we do the syllables, we only say the sound of the syllable. We don't sound each letter out unless the student really is struggling, but by this time they're not. So we're on, in my reading program, when the student gets to exercise 5, they're ready for some syllables. So say nutmeg, nutmeg. Let's tap out the syllables. Nutmeg, nutmeg. Okay, so let's pull the sounds down for nut. All right, so here we go. N, t. Okay, you can point to it. N, t, nut. So now let's pull the sounds down for meg. E, g. Point to it. G, meg. We're going to push this together. And how I do this, I say, let's say the syllables now. Nutmeg, nutmeg. A lot of students who are testing to see where they're at really lack practice with syllabilication. So what you can do, and what I've done is had an index card, and I'll show this to the student to remind them. I can put nut, meg, and then what are those 2 syllables together? Nutmeg. So that helps them understand why we have the sound rectangles to frame those sounds in a syllable. So we could do, and then when we do the syllables, we're not just changing out letters beginning, middle, and ending. We're changing words. So after nutmeg, we're going to do mascot. So say mascot, and the student repeats it. Let's tap out the syllables for mascot. Mascot, mascot. So these are very phonetic. There's no tricks in here. Empty the sound rectangles. What are the sounds for mass? And you say it together. S. Point to the sounds. Mass. What are the sounds for cot? And they're going to pull down the sounds. K, a, t. And they're going to point again. K, a, t, cot. Push it together. We have mascot, mascot. If there's ever a word they don't understand, we just explain to them. But usually they have read this in my reading program before they're actually getting to the point to get ready for writing it on a test. So my spelling exercises are based on the reading. So they're not able to take a spelling test unless they've read to a certain point in the program, which is my phonics reading. And my scope and sequence spells all that out. So when they see nutmeg, I may actually have them actually read the words in the spelling exercise as one of the phonics reading exercises so that they'll see the words before they write them. So we'll do one more word. What about helmet? Say helmet. 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 So we have the student empty their sound rectangles again, and we're going to pull the sounds down. For what are the sounds for hell? Now everything's really phonetic. We're not getting difficult here yet with floss words or double L's. So it's h, e, ul. Point to it, h, e, ul, hell. And the second syllable is met. Say met. Here we go. E, t. Let's point to it. E, t, met. So then we push it together. Oops, for push it together. Have the students say hell met. And that's just the first part of the sound circles. I'm going to do some more in the next 20-minute segment and talk to you about how we do vowel teams and how we do that sneaky E, that is the silent E at the end of a long vowel word. So thanks for tuning in and look for part 2 of Bootcamp Day 2. Bye-bye now.